So this video is going to be how to test your alternator and then how to replace it on your 2011 Ford F250. First, to test the alternator, you're going to want to set your multimeter to the 20 right there. Take the negative, put on the negative, take the positive, put on the positive. If it's reading this with the car off, between like this, 12 and 13, you're good so far. But then if you turn your vehicle on and it's not at 13 to 14, then something's wrong. When I start my truck, this just goes down to 12.09. So that means my alternator is no good. And before you replace the alternator, you are going to want to disconnect the battery. So the next step into getting your alternator off, you're going to want to remove the intake, which you're just going to undo this bolt here and this bolt here. It should pop off here and here. And after you get that removed, you're going to want to take off this right here because it's blocking the bolts down there that are holding on the alternator. And it's this bolt right here, another one there, and there might be one in the back. But then you also have to take off this hose here and this hose here, and this hose has a little clip right here. You just push it down and it releases it. And you could take this thing and just flop it over this way. You're also going to want to disconnect this coolant line right here, or you don't even have to disconnect it. You might just be able to, you can just disconnect it from here, undo it here, clip this, and you could just fold it out of this way so it's not in your way or anything like that. Now, after removing this piece right here, which was just the bolt that was here and here, before removing this, you take out this bolt and this bolt. But in the very back here, you can see you need to loosen this. And you can get to it from up top right here. And once you get that off, then this will pop right off. So once you get that rear cover off, this is what it should look like. I just took a bungee cord and just tied it up right to here to get it out of the way. I didn't feel like disconnecting all this stuff right here. So your next step is you're gonna disconnect this bolt right here. You're gonna disconnect this right here, and you're gonna undo this bolt, and this bolt right here. And yeah. To get this part out right here, if you're having trouble, you just want to push on this tab right here and make it go in a little bit and just pull, and it'll come right off. Now, I did forget this part. To release the serpentine belt from the alternator, what you're going to do is take a wrench right here, 1/2 inch, and you're going to take it and you're going to put it in this right here. I'll do it off video, but right here where this is, you're going to put this in here, and you're going to push the one way, and then it's going to release the tension, and you can just unhook it, and you'll be good to go. Once you got all that done, the alternator just lifts right out of there. I left the serpentine belt pretty much connected to everything. I kind of just set it down right there and tried to not let out as much slack as possible so it didn't pop off anything down there. So next step will be putting on the new alternator. Here is the new alternator compared to the old one. I've owned this truck for about 6 years. Again, it's a 2011 Ford F250. It's a 6.2 gas, and I've never replaced the alternator or have had it replaced yet, and this is my first time replacing it. Now I have the alternator just sitting in there. Now before I bolt it back down, these are the bolts. I'm just going to take some anti-seize and put them on there just in case. They were a little stuck when I was just undoing it, so I'm just going to put it on here for safe measures. Once you're ready to get the bolts in, just don't forget to put the ground back to here where it was before. You definitely don't want to forget that. Okay, well, I messed that up. I accidentally put the bolts back in before putting the bracket back on. So before you make the mistake that I just did, make sure you put the bracket on first, and then you put the bolts in. Okay, well, now that it's done the correct way and with the bracket in place, just make sure you just do your connection right there, and cover it back up, and then you just plug it back in. There's no buttons or anything like that to press. You just click it back in. And the next step would be to get your timing belt back over the alternator, and you're going to want to do this before you put all the covers back on, because it's going to be a pain once these covers are back on. Getting the serpentine belt back on was actually a lot harder than I thought it would be. I still had to use a really long ratchet, and then I had to get out a braking bar, and that seemed to be the only way I could really do it by myself and get enough leverage in there to get it over. So after you have everything done, hooked up, and your serpentine belt back on, you're going to want to just repeat the process of what you did, just in reverse. So we're going to go and take this thing, put it back. We're going to make sure we hook it up correctly in the back there and tighten everything down and make sure it's on it all the way. And then we still have to connect these two hoses that go right there, and I'll show you what it's like after it's done. So after you get that all put back in and screwed in back there, when you put in these two bolts, I put on anti-seize just because they were getting a little corroded on the bottom, and it'll help if I ever had to take this out again. Just don't forget to connect your two hoses again. That one just clicks in, and same thing with this one. You just push it on, and next step will be putting that back on right here. So then after you get this piece put on right here, just make sure you bolt that down, do that, and after that, and if you did disconnect any coolant lines, just make sure you reconnect them. I actually didn't have to disconnect mine. I was able to just move it from here and here, but after that, if you're able to get all that done, you just, oh, and don't forget to also reconnect your battery after you're all done, and you should be good to go, and hopefully that takes off your battery light.